also spawns tornadoes, still hours away from landfall on Florida's Gulf Coast, with officials making a final plea for residents under evacuation orders to leave.
South of Tampa and Sarasota is coastal Charlotte County, Florida, where residents like Patty Lane boarded up her home in Punta Gorda before leaving.
The plan is to just go to some friends and stay and wait for it to pass.
And emergency manager Patrick Fuller says leaving is a good idea because shelter availability in Charlotte County is an issue depending on how much surge comes in.
Fox's Evan Brown, the entire Tampa Bay region and areas south of it considered at grave risk. President Biden accusing former President Trump of leading what he calls an onslaught of lies about the federal response to Hurricane Helene. But the former president not backing away from his criticism of the response to Helene, especially in hard-hit North Carolina, and blaming Vice President Kamala Harris.
She's just led the worst rescue operation in history in North Carolina. The worst.
He's in Scranton, the president's childhood hometown, holding the first of two Pennsylvania rallies planned for today. FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell is in North Carolina.
We've been on the ground since before the storm happened, and just because somebody didn't see a person in a FEMA shirt doesn't mean that they weren't getting support. This is a true whole of community response.
Criswell also just telling Fox News her agency is currently supporting recovery efforts in more than 100 disasters across the U.S. Wall Street rallies. The Dow up 431 points to a new record. The S&P also finishing at a new high, and the Nasdaq up more than 100. America is listening to Fox News.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy two. That's just $60 a month for two unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Ugh, I've been feeling so sluggish and just kind of blah. Been there. That's why I take Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites. But I suppose they taste blah. Actually, they taste delicious. It's an apple blueberry flavored center covered in a yogurt coating and is infused with probiotics to help support a healthy gut. They come 5 in a pouch. I just toss one in my bag and go.
Toss one in my bag?
Huh, get your own.
New Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites from the makers of the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand. Find them in the digestive care aisle.
2 conservative lawyers argue before the U.S. Supreme Court that a death row inmate in Oklahoma should get a new trial.
Richard Glossip was sentenced to death in 1997 for plotting to kill his boss, Oklahoma City motel owner Barry Van Treese. Glossip's attorneys and now the state attorney general say he was convicted based on the testimony of one man, Justin Sneed, a meth addict who said Glossip paid him to do it. But attorney Seth Waxman told the court new evidence shows Sneed lied about being mentally ill,
including the fact that a prison psychiatrist prescribed lithium to treat his previously undiagnosed bipolar disorder. The prosecution suppressed that evidence.
An attorney appointed by the court to argue why the conviction should stand said the conviction's been upheld 6 times, with courts finding existing evidence against Glossip compelling. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
3 scientists, 2 Americans, 1 British, share the Nobel Prize for Chemistry.
U.S. scientists David Baker and John Jumper and Britain's Demis Hassabis have won the Nobel Prize for their breakthrough work on proteins, the building blocks of life. Baker gets half of the $1 million winnings. He's a professor at the University of Washington in Seattle. Jumper and Hassabis, who work for Google's DeepMind artificial intelligence lab in London, share the rest. Their project's described as fulfilling a 50-year-old dream.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Gamers might be familiar with Hassabis' earlier work, designing games including Theme Park and Evil Genius. The trio's work on proteins used advanced technology, including AI. It could lead to new kinds of medicines and allow scientists to design new enzymes for breaking down plastics and other waste. Quick update on Hurricane Milton. It's now a Category 3 storm. Top winds down to 125 miles per hour. That does not, however, reduce the storm surge forecast. Recapping the Wall Street rally, the Dow up 431 to a new record close. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
It's a new era of Chicago Bears football with Caleb Williams under center. And there is a new home for Bears football. Hear every game on Champaign-Urbana's home for all the hits, Q96. Hi, everybody. It's Jeff Joniak, radio voice of the Chicago Bears. Join me along with former Bears great Tom Thayer as we break down and call all the exciting action. I'll have my trademark call, touchdown, touchdown Bears, ready to roll. Hopefully, you will be hearing it often. Catch the Bears all season long on Champaign-Urbana's home for all the hits, Q96.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for East Central Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and Vicinity. All weather eyes remaining focused on catastrophic Category 5 Hurricane Milton, 160-mile-per-hour winds. Landfall expected in through tonight. It'll track across the central portions of the peninsula and move into the western Atlantic at some point for the day tomorrow. The entire peninsula, just about, except for the Panhandle and far south areas, will likely deal with some sense of hurricane conditions. And out over the next 7 to 10 days, or maybe again something brewing into the Caribbean and a northward track close to Florida. In the meantime, back closer to home for the day today, sunshine in 77, clear tonight 45, sunny mild for the day tomorrow in 78. We climb to the lower 80s on a sun-filled Friday and a partly cloudy football Saturday, then breezy, much cooler weather, highs near 70 on Sunday, readings near 60 on Monday, 50s next Tuesday and Wednesday, a bit of frost in the morning, and then another warm-up to follow. For Stevie J Broadcasting Epiologist, Greg Solgay.
Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Derek Piper, Kyle Tosk. Happy birthday to our buddy Lante. And as a reward for his birthday, I believe, does he turn 54 today?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
We are exactly 20 years apart. I'll be turning 34 here coming up in December. So happy birthday to Lon. Hope he is celebrating accordingly. And I imagine he will be doing so this weekend. Tailgate lot 31 there on Saturday, Illinois and Purdue, a 2:30 kickoff. Look forward to that one. And Illini, if you need another reason to get a win against the Boilermakers to end their winning streak in the series in Champaign, beat Ryan Walters, throw a nice little birthday present to Lante with a win. He does have some kind of stat, although I think it's usually on the 10s when he's 50, when he's 40. Yeah. They've always won that weekend, but 54 should be one that they are able to pull off for our buddy.
Yeah, well, we really have to start to question things if all of a sudden they lose as a 20-point favorite to Purdue.
Man,
when it's Lon's birthday week.
Think about that.
But yeah, no, let's get that one done. And we'll throw in a Cardinals win on Sunday too.
Yeah. Why not?
Not until they're playing the Dolphins in like 3 weeks.
Who do the Cardinals have this weekend?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Watch, I just said that and they're on bye.
Right? It could be. I don't have that one off the top. I know the Bears will be in London. We all love the old London game. 8:30 a.m., I believe, is the kickoff. So.
Hey, the Cardinals are in Green Bay. We'll really ask for a Cardinals win this weekend.
Please. That'd be fantastic. If I could gift Lante that, I would be doing that for him. But if the Cardinals can bring that home, I will be very satisfied, both for him and for me. So that's great, and we'll push along here with us too. We'll talk plenty of Illini basketball. Surprise, surprise. But that's something that definitely want to hit on as we inch closer and closer to the start of this season. There will be the closed scrimmage against Butler this weekend. And then you've got about 3 weeks until they're down in Oxford taking on Ole Miss in an exhibition game. I've been asked by a couple of people if that one's going to be televised. I thought I saw correctly that Ole Miss put out there that it would be televised. And on that note, we do have updates for Illinois' full schedule in terms of TV listings, times on a number of games all throughout the Big Ten schedule. That's been solidified. There's still some non-conference games that are TBA in terms of time and TV. I see right now that the Ole Miss exhibition game on October 27th, that is a Sunday, 11 a.m. Central Time, TV, TBA. So I would think that's one that somebody's going to want to pick up. And
like SEC Network gets that one
even
or
then,
something.
yeah. Why not?
I have a bad feeling that it's going to be on like an Ole Miss website that you have to pay for to watch or something like that. I don't know.
I'm sure
they'll get a lot of
people,
Illini traffic.
Exactly. A lot of people would bite that bullet to see what this squad looks like prior to the season opener against Eastern on November 4th. But I did want to start with some of the notable TV times and TV listings for the schedule as we know it right now. For me, the first one I went to, and this wasn't part of a Big Ten announcement, but the Duke game, February 22nd in Madison Square Garden, will be a 7 p.m. Central tip on Fox, nationally televised. And I know that sometimes get caught up in saying nationally televised. Usually a lot of games, FS1, Fox, obviously. There's a lot of different areas for it to be on national TV, but for a big network like that, a prime game, imagine that's one of the top games on the slate of that weekend. That's a big deal, and obviously a big-time stage for Illinois. So, again, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern over there in New York for Illinois against Duke. How about some other ones that jump out? We're still waiting for Alabama for a time and TV listing. That will be a midweek game. That's Wednesday, November 20th down in Birmingham. We already know Arkansas, Thanksgiving Day, 3 p.m. Central on CBS. If you look at some of the Big Ten listings, the opener for the Big Ten schedule, you're at Northwestern on a Friday night, December 6th. That's an 8 p.m. Central tip on Big Ten Network. Your home opener in the Big Ten, a Peacock game. Yes, Peacock, 8 p.m. Central at home against Wisconsin, Tuesday, December 10th. I know something that somebody pointed out on our message board on Illini Inquirer, if you should, I know that you got to pay for Peacock, and that's something that people are going to have their gripes about. But I'm only seeing one game on Big Ten Plus. So in the past, you've had to, maybe for November and December, if you want to watch every Illinois game, you got to sign up for that. If you want to watch the opener against Eastern, you're not going to be in attendance. That one will be on BTN Plus. But outside of that, you don't have any others that are on that streaming network.
It's kind of a good sign, isn't it? When you're getting the Big Ten network, when there's 4 Big Ten teams in action against Eastern Shore State and Texas Southern, that you're the one that's getting chosen to be on BTN. Because in the past, during the Gross era, it felt like to me it was like 6 games were blocked.
Yep.
Or they were on like they used to have, I don't know if they still have it, but when I had DirecTV, they had like 3 alternate Big Ten networks, and you were on like BTN-610-3 was Illinois because they stuffed them at the bottom. But it's a good sign, isn't it?
It
Only
is.
one Big Ten Plus game. The first thing, to your original point, though, the first thing I looked at when they posted this was how many Peacock games. I count 4.
Okay.
Illinois, Indiana being on Peacock is a big one. UCLA.
Is that a weekend game? That's a weeknight. Tuesday, January 14th on Peacock.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think they do. Tuesday night's their big night where they do the Big Ten doubleheader. I think at least that's what they did last year. UCLA here at State Farm Center, another Tuesday night on Peacock. And SIU Edwardsville.
Not too bad. Could be worse as far as that goes.
Oh, and Wisconsin, which you said.
Yep. Now, I know, was last year's Purdue game on Peacock?
Yes, I think. I was there, but I think I remember that being the case, yeah.
Sometimes when you got the biggest games on your schedule, obviously anytime Illinois and Indiana get together, that's one that you want to watch. I would imagine that we're far enough into this that, and you have it on football too and basketball, that many people out there have decided, okay, I guess I'll get Peacock, or I'll find a way, maybe I go to a restaurant, a sports bar that's going to have it. So you find your ways to watch the game, but I'll, of course, be in Bloomington, but anybody that wants to see Illinois versus Indiana, which why wouldn't you? You make that happen however you ultimately have to watch it on Peacock. Again, that's January 14th. The lone time that Illinois and Indiana get together this year which I always would hope that those teams in particular play twice a year. Illinois and Iowa, I would like to see twice a year. They only play once this year as well. New reality in the Big Ten with 18 teams. You're only going to have a couple of double matchups with teams, and that's Northwestern, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. Do I have that right?
That's right, yep.
Yeah, you do play at Wisconsin in February. Michigan State, I believe you draw them twice, and Northwestern as well. So
one thing that stands out to me on the schedule, a lot of Sunday games, which I know has kind of been a thing for the Big Ten the last couple of years where they've had a couple games on Sunday, but there's a lot of Sunday games and not a ton of Saturday games, which is kind of the prime college basketball day. But you look in conference play, you got Washington on a Sunday, you've got Michigan State on a Sunday, Northwestern on a Sunday, Ohio State on a Sunday, Michigan on a Sunday. That's 5 Sunday games in conference play.
It's quite a bit. I know that's a big day, especially for CBS.
Yeah.
With them showing games.
Feels like that hasn't been the case in the past, though. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it was. Maybe they played 8 Sunday games last year, but
probably not. It does seem like a bit of a higher amount. Like you said, I don't know off the top of my head. You do wonder, not that it matters between Saturday and Sunday. I wouldn't imagine all that much, but with the new allegiances of the conferences to certain TV networks like ESPN being SEC focused,
that's a good point.
That you won't see Big Ten games on ESPN anymore, which is crazy. But if that makes a difference, I know we've had previous years too where there's been complaints that the Big Ten didn't do Illinois favors of not even like giving them very many home games on a weekend, because that's usually when you want to bring in some recruits potentially, especially. And I know now when you've got high school teams, especially those that play for maybe bigger programs or prep schools or what have you, that they're going to play on any given night all around the country and whatnot. But you like to have weekend games that the in-state products can come down for. Usually I say down because usually you're coming from Chicago, but you've got a couple of home games on weekends for Big Ten affairs. And I know it's not a Big Ten game, but a huge one that I think people would want to see. December 14th, Saturday against Tennessee. That's a 4:30 p.m. tip on a Saturday at home against the Vols, and that's obviously a big one. And I maybe have missed it. I didn't know that a time had been released on that one. Maybe this is new with this release, but that one is on Fox as well.
I think you look at this schedule and you pinpoint the game where State Farm Center is going to be the most rockin', the most electric atmosphere. It's that Saturday against Tennessee.
I agree with you.
Because I know for students like me, finals week ends that next week. So most, if not all, students should still be on campus. Crush should be full rock for that one. That one is going to be awesome. 4:30 on Saturday, hosting what should be a top 10 to 15 Tennessee team.
Yep.
I can't wait for that one.
Now, ones that will rival that, you get later into the Big Ten slate. You got a Saturday night, 7 p.m. tip on Fox against Michigan State. That's February 15th. And then, of course,
Purdue,
the regular season finale, a Friday night tip on Fox against Purdue. That one, of course, has the potential to be the biggest of them all, especially if there's Big Ten title implications, which we don't know at this point. But, of course, that's the hope for Illini fans going into this season.
I was going to say, I apologize for jumping in, but I think it depends on, if it's like another top 15 matchup like last year's Purdue game, I amend my statement. That Purdue Friday game to close the season is going to be as electric as you'll ever see Champaign. I hope we get it. I hope Purdue, as much as I think they might take a step back, I hope they're very highly ranked. I hope that is a big-time implications-filled game, because that could be absolutely awesome, leading right into the Big Ten tournament, right into March on a Friday night. I hope that now, I think spring break is that next week, so I hope that Friday night doesn't impact that at all, but sure won't for me. That game's going to be awesome. Yeah, those three, the last 3 home games of conference play, Michigan State at home on a Saturday, 7 p.m., then a Tuesday night hosting Iowa at 8 p.m., and then Purdue on that Friday. Those 3 have the potential to be pretty awesome.
They definitely do. Yeah, that's part of a huge stretch really, if you just count all of February into early March as you close out the stretch run of regular season play, because you're going to have a huge game at Rutgers early February that will be mammoth, especially in terms of NBA draft attention. But if Rutgers is as good as they can be with Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, and just knowing that that's always a tough place to play and go, and what that looks like in terms of just the star-studded freshmen battling against each other on those two sides. But UCLA is widely thought to be a top 5, maybe even top 3 team in the Big Ten. You catch them at home on February 11th on Tuesday. And Michigan State after that, at Wisconsin. Then you go to the Garden. Then you play Iowa at home, at Michigan, which will be interesting to see what Dusty May's squad looks like this year. And then, closing out with Purdue ultimately. It will be very interesting, and I have not taken the task yet, and maybe I will at some point, maybe as we get closer to Big Ten play, like who got the most favorable draw. I don't know if somebody's tackled that already in the Big Ten versus maybe I think it was Indiana last year that had a tough conference slate in comparison to what maybe Illinois ultimately had. It seems like every season we say, "Oh, look at Wisconsin," and they don't play the top teams but once, and they're playing them at Kohl Center. It feels like that's been a narrative here recently. But with Purdue, that they've got a number of players who are known commodities, but it is an entirely different task when you no longer have the 2-time National Player of the Year in Zach Edey. So, but Matt Painter's a great coach. I would expect them to be very much in the mix for the Big Ten title down the stretch. But by the time you're playing the regular season finale, maybe there is some separation to the top. I don't know. If Indiana plays up to their potential and Mike Woodson doesn't coach them out of games, maybe that it's theirs. Maybe Illinois has clicked and they have a favorable start to Big Ten play. So even if they're not quite up to their top gear yet, they can find ways to win and then obviously hit their stride down the stretch, and they could be very much in this mix here as well. So it's going to be fascinating.
I'm going to sit here and dream of that Friday night Purdue game to close the regular season being a matchup for the Big Ten title.
Sounds good.
That would be
Why not?
Awesome.
Why not?
And it very well could happen.
It could, for
sure.
And
that stretch towards the end of the year, you're right. And I know talked about this a couple weeks ago, but it's when you really dig into it with that Duke game in there, it has the potential to be kind of a gauntlet. And I mean, we don't know exactly what these teams look like, but that is a stretch where that could be the decider between a conference title or a high seed in the tournament. That's going to be a fun stretch, starting with that starting that February 2nd, the month of February into March, when you host Ohio State to start February, then take that road trip to Rutgers. That could be an exciting stretch.
Let's put one other thought I had. Let's put a complaint in already from Lante that January 2nd at Oregon is a 9 p.m. Central tip on FS1. But you only got one of those.
I feel like it's a win to get one of those.
You only get one.
With 4 West Coast teams in the conference, to have one 9 p.m. or later tip, I'll take that.
Big Ten after dark. They say that, right?
Yeah. So are they going to, I'm assuming, do this with every team where if you're going to play 2 or more of the West Coast teams on the road, you're going to play them back-to-back?
I think so, yeah. And I saw the same thing. I was looking at Oregon's schedule, and I think when they go and play, forgive me for not having maybe exactly right, I think when they play Michigan State, they may then play at Ohio State the next game so that they won't go all the way back. They'll kind of camp out there in the Midwest for a few days.
Yeah, that's a good call. I didn't even think about it from their perspective. It's even harder for them if they're going to Maryland and then they got a home game. Like, the schedule really has to be like, okay, we're going to give you a couple road games in a row here to make sure you're not traveling 100,000 miles during the season.
Yeah. I saw James Franklin recently. Admittedly, I only briefly saw it on Twitter, but he was complaining about the travel. I don't know what his exact reasoning is. They play at Washington this week or something like that?
USC, I think.
Or USC. Did you see what he was griping about?
I briefly did. I thought it was something. Didn't he say something about the airport in State College or something like that?
Oh, okay.
And I don't really get what he was saying.
But when I first
he was generalizing it to the Big Ten, but it was a complaint about
About their airport.
Their airport. So I don't really. I'll have to watch that again.
Aren't you flying private anyway? I don't know. The thing that, I mean, to me, it was like, all right, you guys play once a week. Like, let's not freak out about this. You're going to have other sports that play multiple games in a week that it will be a little bit more of a harder logistical task to make it happen, or just more rigorous travel. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, he says there's a limited length of the runway at the State College Airport.
Oh.
So Penn State has to bus over an hour to Harrisburg just to be able to fly to Los Angeles.
Oh, man.
That 1 hour is really
1 hour. That's
devastating.
Tough. Boy.
Well, huge competitive disadvantage. I'm betting USC this weekend.
Sounds like more of a complaint for your airport than the Big Ten. But
exact. That's what the top comment says.
Anyways, yeah, right. We'll talk more Illini basketball. They did release an extended cut of their highlights from over the weekend. I know they had Brad School, which was a donor event where a bunch of people, those that went, got a chance to get an inside look at the program, see a couple of practices. They had some meetings with both Josh Whitman and the coaching staff. And so that's always I've never been, but have heard it's a really awesome event and a lot to be learned there. So their Saturday practice, it sounds like, was then put together into a long highlight stretch, which was put out on the social media apps, both Instagram and X, so that Illini fans who weren't there could see what that is looking like. Of course, you didn't see the misses of anybody or turnovers or anything like that, but the good plays, and there were plenty of them. We can dive into some of that, or just
I got some questions for you about it.
I look forward to that. Lindy has a question on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. I feel like this will be a recurring one all the way up to, and hopefully by then it will have been answered, up to the season opener. Any word on the clearance for the big man, that being Tomislav Ivisic? No. Brad Underwood was asked about it at Big Ten Media Days last week. We'll have local media day coming up here on Friday. So imagine he's going to get asked again. He'll probably get sick of us asking him. But up to this point, Brad kind of just threw his hands up and said, hey, we've done what has been asked in terms of our part of it, submitting the review to the NCAA or whatever that looks like on their end. And really, you would imagine it's more so on Tomislav's end with his team that he was playing with over in Montenegro. It was a professional team, so obviously guys on that squad are making salaries and whatnot. So his proving that he didn't take money in contract form, that it was only stipends for food and whatnot, that's got to be proven, I guess. Although you would imagine that it would be somewhat to the extent of, I don't know. It's kind of interesting how the burden of proof is on Tomislav there, and not the NCAA having like found out or heard of him taking money. But anyways, that is still under review. As of last week, there was no update, and they're really at the mercy of the NCAA to hear when that is of clearance. You would imagine, I'm going to ask Brad, I've been planning to, when we get a chance to talk to him again on Friday, if there's been any indication from the NCAA, like the plan will be to get you an answer by the start of the season. I don't know if that communication happens or if they're willing to promise that, or say that they're intending to do that. I don't know what that looks like, but hopefully there'll be more clearance, actual clearance here coming soon, more clarity coming in the near future. And let me ask you this, Kyle, before we take our first break. At what point, as we sit here on October 9th, you're less than a month from the season opener, you're about 6 weeks. 6 weeks from today, you're playing in Birmingham against Alabama. When is it fair to start to really worry about Tomislav Ivisic and getting cleared by the NCAA?
If he's not playing against Ole Miss in the exhibition, I would start to really sound the alarms of maybe we got to start wrapping our mind around there's going to be a chunk or all of this season without him. That's kind of the first real. I know I could be mistaken. I think he could still play in that, even if he didn't get cleared yet. I was just about to ask
doesn't
that.
Count.
Is he allowed to play
game
in a non?
I think so. To my knowledge,
okay.
All team activities that don't include an actual game against your record, he doesn't need to have that clearance.
I guess
yet.
around that time, if we still have no clarity, if he's out there playing but we don't know that that's kind of, once you start playing a game of some realism, a game of some structure publicly, and that would be, a week before the season about, that's when I'd start to really get concerned. Because once you get into like game week of opening night, then if you still have no clarity on that, it's just, I'd start to get worried, and I'd just start to wrap my mind around, hey, Marez Johnson may be the guy. You might not have him for part of the season. Maybe this is a Big Z situation from Kentucky. I won't put it to rest like, all right, I'm preparing the whole season without him, because who knows when the NCAA handles stuff like this. They've proven it'll be a Tuesday in December, and they'll be like, oh, he's eligible, guys. Sorry for the delay on that one. But that's kind of the date I'd set, regardless of whether he can play or not. Like, once you start playing some type of a real exhibition and we start to really feel like, all right, the season's about here, and you have no clarity, you kind of have to think about alternatives.
I'm with you on that. If you look at the timing of it, the Ole Miss game on a Sunday, and then the Monday after, essentially a week and a day from then, you're playing Eastern Illinois in the opener. You definitely want to be able to have him for that. Not saying you'd worry about the EIU, SIUE, Oakland game, but you want to get him, ideally, play a full schedule, even if you have to compromise and say, oh, he's off for the Eastern game, but gets a game or two under his belt before the Bama game. That would be ideal if you're talking about that. In my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, like, this is not sneaking up on Illinois from taking him or from preparing for him to be a big piece right off the bat. Now, we don't know. We ultimately don't know when it comes to the NCAA, but again, I would think that would be very top of mind for Illinois when they got him. But of course, you gotta go through the process with the NCAA and see what comes of that. And you would hope, from as long as there's no like evidence of a hang up, as long as there's nothing that speaks to something that would be outside the box or outside of what should have happened, that they would do everything they can to get this done before the start of the season, that being the NCAA. And I know kind of the underlying thing here is like amateurism in college athletics is dead. Like,
right.
It's not a real thing anymore. So that part of it's kind of dumb.
It is. No, it is. I've thought about that. Like, really? We've got $2 million guarantees being made to players, and we're gonna hold Illinois hostage on this situation because of what would he have made over there as what would his contract have been? I'm assuming he didn't make anything. Otherwise, I feel like Illinois probably would have anticipated something happening. But
I don't know. What if he made $100,000?
Exactly. It wouldn't really. Could we do like the Kofi 3-game suspension and call it a day? And have him pay it back or something?
If that's what happened, yeah.
Like, I don't know.
There are, depending on what state you're in, there are high school players that can earn NIL, like within the rules. So, like, how would that be that different?
Right. Yeah.
I understand.
It's just the fact that it's the amateurism versus like they're two separate things.
I know, right.
But in terms of like the actual dollar amounts and the fact that players are now making all this money, like, it feels like we should probably jump over that line a little bit to allow some more just lax. The NCAA should be, I just feel like they're way too harsh on some of this stuff.
Yeah. And to go back to something I heard when he first was added at Illinois, it's that his family had in mind that he was going to go, similar to his brother, over to the United States to play college. So it's not like he hadn't thought of it or been preparing for it. Again, I don't know all the details. I don't know what that looked like with his pro team this past year, but it was voiced to me that, this has been a thought in their mind that he would, similar to Big Z, make a jump like this. So you'd hope from Illinois' end that was then along that path of, all right, let's try to keep your window open to play in college by not taking contract money and whatnot. But yeah, you'd hope here in the next couple of weeks to have that squared away and not have to worry about it If you want to weigh in, you can. 217-359-2255 on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. We'll get to more of your questions. If you have them, shoot them in, 217-359-2255. We will tackle some more Illini basketball talk. Kyle's got questions. Hopefully I got answers, and I hope he has some of his own. We'll do that coming up. We're also going to hear from Aaron Henry at some point. He spoke to the media earlier this week and want to get his thoughts on going up against an old buddy of his, Ryan Walters, and just the fact of those two sides knowing each other very, very well and what that looks like and what he is looking for out of his defense going up against the Boilers.
Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Calling all U of I students. You live here, you count here. The city of Urbana has a special census being conducted in blue zones. Those in the special census zone, watch for a postcard with your 12-digit code. If you'd like to see the map, visit urbanaillinois.us/take census. Watch for a special census postcard sent with your 12-digit code that is unique to you specifically. Do your part. Take the special census on campus with the city of Urbana.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Get the roof your home deserves by Roof Doctors, your residential roofing specialist that has always offered the best warranties in the industry, like our non-prorated 50-year warranty. Our customers love that we are family-owned and locally operated. We make our customer needs our top priority. With over 30 years experience and the best customer service, give Roof Doctors a call today for your free estimate at 328-7529. In your community and for your community, Roof Doctors.
PDR Automotive has now been serving the Champaign-Urbana area for over 50 years. To give you some perspective, 50 years ago ended the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War, and it was when Secretariat won the Triple Crown. So what does that mean for you and your vehicle? Whether you need a carburetor overhauled or your new vehicle computer system diagnosed or programmed, PDR Automotive has the experienced, knowledgeable staff that can handle all your automotive needs. Online at pdrauto.com, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
At Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery, we're flooring people with amazing service, great design advice, and unbeatable selection and the best prices in town. It's the perfect time to update your home with waterproof flooring, carpet, hardwood, tile, and more. Then complete your rooms by shopping our incredible selection of furniture and accessories. We also offer great financing options. Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery, we're flooring people.
Experience a unique evening in downtown Urbana next to Lincoln Square Thursday nights from 6 to 9 as Urbana's Night Market at the Square, plus arts and culture, brings on food trucks, art and maker vendors, live painting, and live music featuring The Slaps. Bring your chairs, blankets, grab dinner, shop local, and enjoy the Night Market at the Square through October 10th, Thursday nights from 6 to 9.
When Ross went out, I always told him to be careful, and that was the last time I got to see him.
Because someone didn't slow down and move over. Ross had on a bright orange shirt with reflective stripes the night he was killed.
He always had that smile. He just lit up the room when he came in.
Slow down and move over when you see flashing lights. Everybody is somebody.
When you see lights flashing, use caution passing. Let's all go home safe tonight.
Are you tired of shivering in the winter? Look no further than your local heroes at ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. Hi, this is Gina inviting you to give us a call at 217-352-5400 to book your appointment to make sure your furnaces run safely and efficiently this winter. We've been proudly locally owned and operated and have been serving our community for over 50 years. ABC, always be comfortable. Call me 217-352-5400 to book your appointment today or go to abcheatingandac.com.
Back on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. All right, Kyle. The 3-minute and 39-second highlight video is rolling on my laptop right now. You ready to break down some hot takes?
You want to do that? Because I got
let's do the questions.
So I did like some. I have 6 questions. They're not
Here we
necessarily like, okay, Will Riley made a jumper in the practice video. Let's break down everything about.